Gregg Jarrett. Gregg, how about we start with that Brooklyn DA that is ignoring an ICE detainer for the illegal who's been accused of burning that woman to death in a subway in New York a week ago. I mean, these crimes are horrific. How could they possibly deny a retainer that's put out by ICE for somebody who's accused of that?
Well, that individual is defying several federal laws. It's a crime to conceal, harbor, or shield anybody here illegally. It's also a felony to interrupt, hinder, or impede federal officials in deportation, as you just pointed out. So, for example, in Denver, the mayor at one point promised, I'm going to mobilize police and the citizens. We're going to stop Trump's deportation orders. Well, I got news for him. That is a crime punishable by 5 years behind bars for each illegal you are shielding. So if you're shielding 10, that's 50 years. 20, that's 100 years behind bars. And if the threat of prison isn't enough to get the attention of these mayors and governors, I say hit them where it really hurts, there's their wallets. That's all they care about is money. Congress passed a law in 1996 that requires them to cooperate with ICE, detainers, information, and so forth. And if they don't do it, they can lose billions of federal dollars doled out each year, and that would bankrupt certain cities and states. So it's long overdue to force these sanctuary jurisdictions to abide by federal law, which, by the way, supersedes any state or local laws on deportation.
You make a lot of sense when you say pull the funding and then hit them where it hurts. But when it comes to prosecuting, because threats may not actually be enough, when it comes to prosecuting and going after, does the system have the bandwidth in reality to actually do that? Because I think that would send a huge message.
Oh, they absolutely do. And I pointed out 3 examples in my recent column. Dwight Eisenhower in 1957 used the military to enforce his executive order on desegregation. And it certainly got the attention of the Arkansas governor, who promised to defy it and then back down. John Kennedy, 6 years later, same thing. George Wallace backed down. Over in Mississippi, the governor there, Ross Barnett, refused to back down. And guess what? He was criminally charged, tried, and convicted and sentenced to the Hoosgow. Now, he didn't serve time because he belatedly said, OK, all right, I give up. I'll capitulate on desegregation. Well, the same principle applies here. If these governors and state mayors and county attorneys and so forth and sheriffs decide they're going to defy deportation orders, which is an exclusive federal power, they must be, as the title of my column pointed out, criminally prosecuted, tried, and convicted, and imprisoned, if appropriate.
Gregg, I want to switch gears a little to this reports that President Biden reportedly regrets hiring Merrick Garland as his attorney general because he doesn't think Garland was tough enough on using lawfare against Donald Trump. I mean, it shows how ignorant of reality is. That's exactly what American people objected to in the whole lawfare. That's one of the reasons that Biden was losing so badly, because the more they came up with these phony indictments against Trump, the lower they got in the polls.
That's right. It backfired on them, David. You know, Biden is delusional if he thinks Garland wasn't aggressive enough. His DOJ launched an historic and despicable lawfare campaign against Biden's political opponent in what I think is the most abusive use of law and power in American history. They contorted the law, they twisted facts, they mangled evidence to bring what I think were legally absurd cases for purely political reasons. And at the same time, David, they ran a protection racket for the Biden family.
That's right.
Never bringing charges against Hunter until a federal judge made them do it. Even then, it was only gun and tax charges. Where were the corruption charges involving money laundering, bribery, conspiracy, foreign lobbying crimes? You'll recall the whistleblowers testify that Garland and his minions buried all of that even after Congress dug up the smoking gun documents. I mean, that's why Joe Biden gave his son a blanket 11-year preemptive pardon for any crime conceivable.
Go figure. Gregg Jarrett, thank you. Great to see you.